The music was soft, the lights were golden, and everyone in the restaurant believed they were watching a beautiful anniversary celebration. But the moment my fingers touched my ex-husband's hand on the dance floor, I unknowingly destroyed my marriage. What hurts the most isn't the mistake itself, it's the smile my husband gave me before he walked away forever. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances in life, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who values love, and subscribe to the channel. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. It truly means the world to us. The night it happened was supposed to be one of the happiest evenings of my life. My husband Jonathan had spent weeks planning our 5th wedding anniversary. He booked a small, elegant restaurant in Charleston, South Carolina, one of those places with candlelit tables, a quiet pianist in the corner, and soft laughter filling the air. Jonathan had always been thoughtful like that. He wasn't loud or flashy with his love, but he showed it in the small details, the way he remembered my favorite flowers, the way he warmed my car on cold mornings, the way he always listened when I spoke, even about things that didn't really matter. His calm kindness was one of the reasons I fell in love with him. But there was also a part of my past that I had never completely buried. His name was Marcus. Marcus had been my first real love. Years before I met Jonathan, Marcus and I had shared a fiery, passionate relationship that burned bright and fast. We were young, reckless, and convinced the world revolved around our love story. But passion alone couldn't carry us forever. Our arguments grew louder, our trust weaker, and eventually the relationship collapsed under the weight of our own immaturity. When we broke up, it felt like a storm tearing through my life. Then Jonathan came into my world like calm sunlight after chaos. He was steady where Marcus had been unpredictable, gentle where Marcus had been intense, safe where Marcus had been thrilling but dangerous. Over time, Jonathan helped me heal wounds I didn't even realize I carried. When he proposed 3 years later on a quiet beach in Florida, I said yes without hesitation. Or at least, I believed I had no hesitation. 5 years later, sitting across from him at that restaurant table in Charleston, I remember thinking how lucky I was. Jonathan wore a navy suit that evening, his brown hair neatly combed, his warm eyes reflecting the candlelight. He slid a small velvet box across the table toward me, revealing a delicate silver bracelet inside. It was beautiful. But what mattered more was the quiet pride in his smile as I slipped it onto my wrist. Dinner was perfect. The food, the conversation, the way Jonathan laughed at my stories, it all felt like something out of a movie. At one point, the pianist began playing an old romantic song, and couples slowly started moving toward the dance floor. Jonathan looked at me and smiled. He reached out his hand. We danced slowly, comfortably, like two people who knew each other's rhythm without trying. I remember resting my head lightly against his shoulder and thinking this was what real love looked like. Peaceful. Safe. Then everything changed. Halfway through the song, I noticed someone standing near the entrance of the restaurant. At first it was just a vague silhouette. But when he stepped into the light, my stomach dropped so suddenly it felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. Marcus. I hadn't seen him in nearly 7 years. He looked older, of course, his hair slightly shorter, a bit of gray near his temples. But the familiar spark in his eyes was unmistakable. For a moment, the entire room seemed to blur around me. Jonathan noticed my sudden stillness and gently turned to see what had caught my attention. When his eyes followed mine to Marcus, he looked confused but calm. Marcus walked closer. He recognized me instantly, his face lighting up with surprise and nostalgia. He explained he had just moved back to Charleston for work and had come to the restaurant for dinner alone. He hadn't expected to see me there. The encounter felt surreal. Jonathan listened politely as Marcus spoke, unaware of the complicated history standing between us. I introduced them carefully, explaining Marcus was someone I had known years ago. Jonathan extended his hand politely. Marcus shook it. The moment should have ended there. But then the pianist started another slow song. Marcus looked at me with the same playful charm I remembered from years ago. He jokingly said it would be strange to run into someone who once knew your entire life and not share a single dance. And in that moment, I made the worst decision of my life. Maybe it was nostalgia, maybe curiosity, maybe a foolish desire to prove that my past no longer had power over me. Whatever the reason, I said yes. I told Jonathan it was just one dance. Just a harmless moment. Jonathan didn't argue. He simply smiled. It was a calm, gentle smile that I had seen thousands of times before. The same reassuring smile he gave when telling me everything would be okay. Marcus and I stepped onto the dance floor. As the music played, memories rushed back like a flood. Our younger years, the passion, the chaos, the mistakes we made together. For a few minutes it felt like stepping into a time machine. But something was different. The excitement I once felt with Marcus wasn't there anymore. Instead, I felt something else. Guilt. I glanced over Marcus's shoulder toward our table. Jonathan was still sitting there, still smiling. But this time, the smile looked different, quieter, sad. The song ended. Marcus thanked me for the dance and returned to his table. I hurried back to Jonathan, suddenly desperate to reassure him that it meant nothing, that it was just a moment of nostalgia, that my heart belonged to him. But the chair across from me was empty. Jonathan was gone. At first I thought he had stepped outside or gone to the restroom. I waited a few minutes trying to calm the strange knot forming in my chest. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The waiter eventually approached with a small folded note Jonathan had left behind. My hands trembled as I opened it. The handwriting was unmistakably his. He wrote that he loved me more than words could ever explain, that the past wasn't something he feared, because everyone had one. But watching me dance with a man who once held my heart on the night meant to celebrate our love made him realize something painful. A part of me was still looking backward. Jonathan wrote that he believed love should always move forward, never sideways into old memories. And while he didn't hate me, he also knew he deserved to be someone's only choice, not someone they might compare to yesterday. At the end of the note, he wrote a single sentence that shattered me. I smiled because I didn't want to ruin our anniversary, but I think this is where our story ends. That was the last time I saw him. In the weeks that followed, Jonathan filed for divorce quietly. He never yelled, never blamed me publicly, never tried to hurt me the way I had unintentionally hurt him. He simply walked away, and somehow that kindness made the loss even more painful. Marcus disappeared from my life again shortly after that night. Whatever strange nostalgia had briefly resurfaced faded quickly when I realized what it had cost me. The years since then have taught me a difficult truth about love. Sometimes the biggest mistakes in life aren't dramatic betrayals or cruel actions. Sometimes they're small choices made in careless moments, moments that can never be taken back, moments that quietly change everything. If this story moved you, please take a second right now to like the video, share it with someone who believes love should be protected, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this. And before we reach the ending, I have a special request for you. In the comments, write the word forward if you believe love should always move forward, not backward into the past. Years have passed since that anniversary night in Charleston. I still live in the same city. Sometimes when I walk past that restaurant, I remember Jonathan's smile, the one he gave me before leaving forever. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was simply the quiet smile of a man who finally understood he deserved more than a heart divided between